Hey, yo, welcome to the live stream. You know what, guys? I'm so excited. We have a very special guest with us today, Bayleigh Minor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mr. J.
Thank you. Please call me Jay. You call me Jay. At this
Okay,
time you can. How does that sound?
gotcha.
All right. So I'm really excited, guys. First of all, this is our first ever high school athlete ever in the history of the show. So, does that surprise you, Bayleigh? You're the first. We've mostly had pro athletes and college athletes.
That does surprise me because I'm like, oh, they've worked with a bunch of athletes, so I would expect to have like at least a few high school athletes mixed in there.
Yes, this is exciting, guys. We're going to talk. We have a really great conversation today. For those of you joining us, everybody in the chat, welcome. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. Excited today. We're talking to an 11-time state champion, right? And we're talking two sports. Bayleigh's won a volleyball state championship with their team. And shout out to her, shout out to the team, and in track and field. So just a really special conversation that we've got. And check this out, y'all. Going to be a future Texas Longhorn.
Yes.
You got to.
Welcome.
There we go. So we have it there. First time ever, and she's gonna be in Burnt Orange. All right. So for everybody in the chat, gotta ask you this. Tell everybody, where do you go to high school? A little bit about your high school and where are you from?
I am from a town like suburbs of Houston, Missouri City, but I go to Fort Bend Christian Academy in Sugarland, Texas. And we're like a pretty small school. I think we have 300 kids in our high school, so
Okay.
pretty small.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
And 11 time state champion at the school. So
Yes.
shout out to you. Shout out to your
Thank
teammates
you.
and your coaches. All right, guys. Before we get started, we have to thank our sponsor, Influxer, for making this conversation happen. They give athletes the power to create their own officially licensed merch. We're talking hoodies, tees, everything that an athlete would want. No middleman. So for those of you guys who are joining, Bayleigh's probably gonna have something like this at Texas. So that means that she could sell her merch and Bayleigh gets paid. So, how does that sound? We're talking about getting to
Sounds
the bag.
good.
So, all right. So, we're going to talk about this, right? We're talking about you stepping into this new phase of your career. You're talking about Texas. You're going to bring all of your supporters with you. Let me ask you this. If your friends described you and they had 3 words to describe Bayleigh Minor, what would they be and why?
Probably kind, caring, and like energetic sometimes because like I'm always there like help a friend out. So that's like kind and caring and then sometimes energetic. Like sometimes a bunch of my friends they say that I'm loud or like I can tone it down a little bit. So I'm like that's probably why they would call me energetic.
I love that. So those are great descriptions. Sounds like, do you have a pretty good friend group that you've found in track and at your school?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay. All right. So chat for everybody. If this is your first time ever being on the live stream, first of all, Bayleigh, is this your first ever live stream that's actually live in real time?
Yes, this is my first live stream.
You're never gonna forget this moment. So if
Mhm.
you're in the audience, here's the thing. This is an interactive conversation. So we're gonna ask you if you're the chat, meaning if you're watching down below, if you're watching us on YouTube, it says post a comment. I want you guys, chat, to drop a fire emoji if you're rocking with Bayleigh. Hit the right, hit the algorithm, hit the like, let the algorithm know that you're rocking with Bayleigh and that you're enjoying the live stream. So gotta ask you this. When did you know, Bayleigh, that you looked up in life and you were like, I think I'm good at this track thing?
Um, it was definitely like probably my second year of running track because my first year I did it. I like moved back to Houston in the summer and I kind of like went straight into it. And I was like, oh, that was like fun, good. And then I made it to nationals, but like I don't think I made it past the semifinals. And so I was like, after that, I was like, okay, I think I could be good at track. And then I think my third year, it was either my third or fourth year. It was in the 11 and 12 age group. I think my third year, I ended up winning nationals in the 400 at USATF
Wait,
JOs.
wait, wait. How old were you at this point?
I think 11 or 12. I don't know.
Wow.
One or the 11 to 12.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So that was your moment. You woke up, you win a national championship. And where were you at volleyball at this point?
I wasn't playing volleyball at that point. I was playing soccer at the
What?
time. Yes.
So wait, when did you start volleyball then? Because you've already won by 11 or 12 a national championship in the 400, and of course we know that you eventually win a state championship in volleyball. But at this point you hadn't even started volleyball yet.
No, I started volleyball in middle school because my friend was like, "Oh, you want to try out with me for like the school team?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And like we both made B team, and we were just happy to like be on the same team together. And then I was like, "Oh, I actually like volleyball." So then like eighth grade year, I made A team, and then I started playing club eighth grade year also.
Okay.
And so been doing volleyball ever since.
Okay. And you pick between the two. We know you're going to Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about your recruitment later. So I'm interested to hear how you picked. But I want to talk to you about a loss, right? Because I know in sports, we all love to talk about the win. And when was there a moment where you had a loss that you actually made you better?
Probably, I think it was my 13, 14, yeah, 13, 14 age group. It was like the year of COVID or the year after COVID, I think, 2021. AAU was held in Houston, but we never like ran at AAUs. But since it was held in Houston, we were like, okay, we'll run it this year. And so I did USATF and AAU that summer because USATF, they didn't have like a Gulf or a regional that year. It was just nationals. So I went to Florida and I ended up getting second in the 400. And I was like very disappointed in myself. I kept running like 54s and then like a solid no. I was thinking 55, 54s. I was like constant with that. And my dad was like, oh, like you still have next week because next week was AAU Nationals in Houston. So whenever we flew back, I ended up winning the AAU Nationals and ran like a 53.8, I think.
Wow. And what what
Yes.
what year was this? And this was this during COVID at all?
It was I think the year after COVID. It was yeah, it was the year after COVID because it was my eighth grade. The year after my eighth grade year.
Wow. So that was like your moment, because we all know all the great athletes have had a moment, right? Jordan didn't make his team in high school. We know how that ended out. So that was kind of like your moment when you were like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? This is the comeback season.
Yes.
That's really cool. All right. So how different is Bayleigh the freshman versus Bayleigh today?
Like me personality wise, as a freshman, I was very like quiet and kept to myself, like didn't really talk to like new people or anything. But now like I love meeting new people. It's so fun to me, like just to talk to people and everything. So I think personality wise, that's one thing that changed. And then like obviously physicality, you've gotten like stronger and better. And then like as me, I feel like I've become like a stronger competitor.
Okay, okay. I love that, man. So it sounds like a lot of growth professionally in terms of your running and then just growing a lot as a person, like being more outgoing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really dope. Gotta first of all, shout out to the chat. I love the chat. We have a very good audience. We got DM Sports Training, Austin Photography Studio, and Shirley Minor. Shout out to you guys for pulling up.
Yeah.
So, gotta ask the chat, right? This is a poll for the chat. Do y'all think track athletes are the toughest? Drop a trophy if you agree. Drop a X if you think another sport is tougher. And we'll come back around. We want to get your opinion too, Bayleigh.
Okay.
We're gonna let the chat weigh in first. So I want to talk about your journey to Texas, right? And full disclosure for everyone, I actually watched your announcement on a Facebook live stream.
Mhm.
All right. So Texas Longhorns. This is big, big time. The powerhouse. When was there a moment when you knew Texas was it?
Um, Not really, like, I was one of the, like, later ones that were, I guess, signed to, like, a school. I ended up signing, like, December when most people I think national signing day was in November, like, 11th or 14th, something like that. So I was almost a month behind everybody. I was, like, taking my process and time slowly, like, I wasn't really in a rush, and then when I got to my top 3, it was, like, actually a hard decision for me because I didn't know like which was best, but in the end, I did end up choosing Texas.
Okay, and then was there something about your signing day? I thought it was really fun. I think it was, I don't know who put it on. Shout out to them. Was very well done. Was there something about signing day that people don't know about who are at home watching the live stream?
Um, it was kind of stressful, not really like in a fun way, I would say, because you're like, oh, it's only one time to do this right, and I had whenever you watched it, I had like 5 different hats. Whenever people had already seen I'd posted my top 3, so they were probably like, "What is this girl doing?" But in the end, it was fun.
No, that's really cool. And speaking of your signing day, right? We know how good of a powerhouse athlete you are, but you're also an all-state volleyball player. Was
Mhm.
was track and was Texas always the dream?
Um, no, I would say like I was always thinking about doing both, and originally like Texas wasn't like a school recruiting me for both sports, so they weren't like really in my mind at the time until like I decided, oh, I just want to do it like just track. So
Okay, okay. And
yes.
it sounds like you've really developed both sports and then you kind of landed on track. And I have to tell you this, the chat has spoken. We have a lot of trophies in the chat. So shout out to the chat. All right.
Yes.
So speaking of which, remember we asked the question, are track athletes the toughest athletes? And then we asked everybody for the trophy. The trophy won out. What do you say, Bailey?
Um, from my personal experience, whenever I did a swim workout, I would probably give it to the swimmers because they got to do it while barely breathing. So technically the same kind of, but
Yeah.
harder to breathe, I think.
No, I love that. That's you showing a lot of love to other athletes. I really think that's cool.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this. Your journey to Texas. We've been talking about that. Your signing letter. Was it emotional? Was it surreal? Or was it just like on to the next thing?
Kind of like on to the next thing for me. I was like, it was more of like a relief that I finally like figured out where I wanted to go and like what I was planning on doing instead of it being like something like I was looking forward to it, of course, but it was more of like a relief because it took me so long to figure out where I was gonna go.
When I was watching your live stream, it's funny that you say that. The reason why I asked that is like it kind of reminded me of that Ariana Grande song, Thank You Next, right?
Yes.
So So, what does it feel like though to really it seems like you've accomplished so much. I know you have. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about your upcoming senior season. But you've accomplished so much, man. It's like it's funny because you look at athletes sometimes and I think as coaches, as people who are surrounding athletes, you're making sure that they understand like the gravity of the moment. But it doesn't seem like that was lost on you. How was that you looked at the situation, you come out 11-time state champion.
Um, for me, I think it was just like kind of like used to it, but not used to it. It's like I was the same person that I was like before I won the state championships or afterwards. So I feel like keeping that kind of mindset helped me a lot.
Okay. So you really so for you, when you were, looking at it in the 8th grade, right? And we're thinking about this was COVID. So for a lot of people who are going through it, how did that impact you? Because I know I've heard some athletes say, "Hey, I had the time to just kind of sit back and plot my high school career because we had a little bit more time." How did
Hmm.
you how did you take the time during COVID?
COVID hit like my 7th grade year. And so basically everything was closed down. 8th grade year is when it started, like everything started opening back up and
Yeah.
everything. I wasn't really looking that much into high school because I didn't even know what high school I was going to until like 2 weeks before school started. So for me, it was just like focusing on like USATF and AAU nationals. And then like 2 weeks before school started, I learned that I was going to Fort Bend Christian.
I love it. It sounds like you're locked in. And we have to, this is a great time to talk about it. You come from a great family of athletes. Talk about like who in your household has done some things. I mean, who do you kind of looked up to so far in your career?
Definitely both of my parents. They are both like NCAA All Americans. My dad used to hold a world record. My mom had like the high school national record at one time, I think, or the Texas record. She was a triple jumper. My dad was a 400-meter runner, and I did both of those at school. So that's pretty cool to like follow in their legacy.
Yeah. And shout out to your parents, right? Dion and Claudia. Shout out to some real ones, some great athletes, and not just greats, but also Texas, because we know in Texas,
Hmm.
like it's big to be huge in Texas as well, right?
Yes.
No, I love that. So, how much when you were coming up, I mean, how did you balance that, right? Because you have these great parents who achieved a lot and are still achieving a lot professionally. How did that impact you when you were in the seventh and eighth grade and you're like, yo, I want to do me?
They never really pressured me to do anything, so I feel like that was a big help for me, like wanting to do me. And like when I thought, like whenever I stopped playing soccer, I did track like by itself for like 2 years. They were okay with that. Whenever I wanted to play volleyball, they were okay with that. They were always just like accepting to what I wanted to do and not like pressuring me to do this or to do that.
Okay, and I think I know why. It's like, look, we're world champions, Olympic. We've been to the trials. We're national champions. They're like, we have ours.
Yes.
No, I love that. That sounds like a great environment, man. Shout out to your family and all the people as well at your school. And got to talk to you about this. We have a lot of people in the chat. If you guys are Longhorn fans because of Bayleigh and you're repping Texas, I need you guys to drop the hook 'em in the chat. So shout out to the chat. All right, so let's get into stuff that people don't know about you off the track. So you gave us the three words that people would describe you, but I have to ask you, what is your pre-race hype song? Are you locked in? Are you the silent type? Do you need to turn up?
Um, I don't really have a pre-race like song or anything. I'm mostly like silent to myself. If I can listen to music, I will. It's normally just like a random playlist that I have, maybe like Maverick City Music or something.
Okay,
But
shout out to Magic to Maverick City Music. I love them.
yes, but besides that, like I'm just more to myself instead of like all the hyper energetic people before.
Okay. So are you like talk to me like when you're getting ready, what are you thinking about? Are you kind of like the calm before the storm or what's going through your mind?
More like the calm before the storm, like a little bit like I don't want to think about it too early. So I'm like trying to just warm up and relax. But like once I get to the end of my warm up, I like start thinking about like the race and how I'm gonna like run it and everything. But before then it's more like if I'm listening to my music, just like let the music take me, or if I'm not, just like have a clear mind.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. It's funny. Just full disclosure, happen to know your parents, and that sounds like both of them, by the way. So I have to say that. One of the things I love about your journey is that you come from this great legacy, but you're kind of like I think about like a Bronny James, like he's crafted his own way, right? And I,
Hmm.
when I talk to you, you're like Bayleigh, right? You're just doing you. When you sit down and you think about your race, you think about volleyball and you think about track, like how have you thought about putting your own spin on your own career and your own life?
Um, I never really thought about like having to put my own spin on it because I feel like since it's like me, it's obviously different from my parents. So it's always just been like about Bayleigh and not like, oh, like Dion's daughter, like Claudia's
Yeah.
daughter. They may know me as that, but like I don't think they would technically like put me in the same category.
Right. Right. And speaking of which, if you were playing another sport besides volleyball, besides track, what's another sport that you would dominate?
um, I don't no clue. Not basketball. Um, not softball. I really have no clue.
All right, here's the sport. I was just watching some of your film, and this is a hot take, y'all. So everybody just brace up. I think you would kill pickleball.
Oh, I've played it before and I'm not that good at it.
I'm like Bailey could be the world champ because for everybody who's on the chat, like there is a whole professional circuit in
Mhm.
pickleball. So I thought about it because you have like all that speed to get to the net, and you're really tall.
Yeah. No, I'm not that great at it.
All right, so if you could run a 4x4 with anyone, past or present, who's on your squad?
um, these are more like present people, but probably Paulino, McLaughlin,
Okay.
and Felix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. Dude, hey, that team's breaking the world record. That's you guys are
Hmm.
definitely winning the chip.
Yes.
And shout out to the chat. The chat chimed in for you. Shout out to the chat. We have WG3 says they put up basketball. They put a basketball emoji
Um,
at Bailey. And then your dad has soccer.
mhm.
So, oh, hold on. We have Shirley Minor, another one. Shirley says basketball also. And we get another soccer. I'm just telling you, Bailey, we have a lot. A lot. The chat thinks that you could dominate in those sports.
Maybe soccer because I used to do it.
All right. I love it. So talking a little bit, we were talking about this your pregame. We were talking about your playlist. Right now, when you're going to a meet, because I know it's so weird these days, right? Like some meets in college allow headphones, a lot of them don't.
Yeah.
So when you go to college, are you going to be okay? Because a lot of the track meets indoors, for example, because of safety, you can't wear it. So it seems like you're going to be well poised to really acclimate to that change that they have.
Yeah, I'll be all right. Like whenever we were at A&M, they didn't allow us to like wear headphones, so it's okay to me. Like it just depends on what meet you're at. So to me, it's not that big of a difference.
listen, listen, the chat's wild, y'all. The chat is going wild. The chat said MMA, Bailey, on the sport that you would dominate. Shout out to the chat. I love you guys, man. Appreciate you guys. So talking a little bit, I know you've opened up, you've had a one race in, but we have to talk about what's coming up. It's like the Super Bowl. We're talking about Texas relays. We're talking about one of the hottest meets of the year. What is your mind frame? How excited are you going in?
It's always like an exciting meet. Like everybody on my team, we all love going to Texas relays, and it's like a long meet, and it's cool because we get to like also watch college athletes while we're there. So it gives us a little taste of like how it will be in our future. So I think it's a very cool experience. It's sad that like some schools are like leaving it now because high school, their districts is like the week of Texas relays and everything, UIL. And so the competition is like some of the stronger schools aren't there, but it's also still a good place to get good competition.
Yeah, yeah. If and I have to ask you, for those who don't know, 'cause some people haven't experienced it, right? They've seen it on social media, they've read about it. Describe the hype of Texas relays and what makes it special in your opinion.
What makes it special, in my opinion, is probably like the legacy it has. Like everybody knows about Texas relays, so it's been around for probably as long as I've been around, maybe probably even longer. not sure. But I think just knowing the legacy and like how many schools have come there, ran great times, I think that's what brings the hype to it.
And of course we have to talk about the fans, the audience, right? Like one of the things to me is it's one of the places in America where the fans just know when they're seeing a great performance.
Hmm.
Right. So like if you're coming down the home stretch and you're on either you're battling or someone's coming up or you're on the cusp of a record, the place goes crazy.
It does.
Do you have a favorite Texas Relays moment where you look back and you just have a fond memory?
Um, it was I think my freshman year. We were running the 4x2, and I was last leg. And whenever we got the baton, I think we were in second, but I don't remember by how much. It was like by a little bit, a decent gap. But then like I was able to catch the girl at the end, so we ended up getting first.
Was the place going crazy? What was it like?
I don't remember what the place was like because whenever I'm running, I kind of like don't really hear. Like I hear things, but if you ask, like people ask me, "Oh, did you hear me cheering for you?" I was like, "No, I did not," but I believe that they were cheering for me.
I like you. That means you're in the zone when you don't hear.
Hmm.
And so this, I know you've opened up, but a lot of people feel like Texas Relays is like the moment. It's like this launch pad, right? Because there's different divisions, right? There's university, there's
Hmm.
college, there's some pros. And of course, shout out to the chat. The chat also, I have to piggyback, said the announcer makes it great at Texas Relays. Talk about the announcer.
Um, I can't really remember what the announcer said because whenever we were there, we didn't really. I didn't really watch the college, and I only went on the track whenever I was running because I just stayed in the camp, probably like asleep in the corner or something. But I'm pretty sure the announcer was very hype, and I do remember last year, the announcer ratted me out. I said, because in the 4x4, we had like a pretty big gap, and I was like closing in on the girl, and I
Yeah.
was like, she was like staying the same pace, but then the announcer was like, "Oh, like Fort Bend Christian coming up," and then the girl hit a whole other gear, and I was like, "Dang!" But
Yeah. And to add to that, shout out to Austin. He said, talking about the announcer, he really hypes it, right? Like one of the things I think about, what does it feel like to you, the way they introduce everyone, they give your accolades in a way that's just rare for track.
I think it's cool because it's like most people you don't really hear that much about them. You'll just be like, "Oh, Fort Bend Christian" or something. But it's cool whenever they go in depth and like say who's running and everything. It like makes it seem a little more personal than
Yeah.
just like a normal meet.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people in the chat who've been. If you haven't been, they hype you up. They're gonna go through. They're gonna kind of sound like the Chicago Bulls announcer, right? And Bayleigh Minor, and they're gonna go through your whole resume. She's the
Hmm.
20, and go through all of it. And it's always a special time. I think for anyone who's run, I've run, of course, and won a Texas Relays Championship. It's an incredible moment. But talk about what that means for you because you've won. Does it continue to be special and fun for you?
Yes, because every year it's like a new year, different competition comes up. So like I remember like freshman year, I don't think we won the 4x4, but like we won the 4x2. Sophomore year, like we won the 4x4. It's like every year we kind of win something different. So it's not like something that you don't look forward to because it's like, oh, what will this year bring?
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And I have to ask you, I want you to finish the sentence for me. Texas Relays means, and you say what it means to you. Like what does it mean to you?
It means like for me, like just to bond with my team.
Yeah.
Because it's like none of us can really do individuals because we don't have like a pure like 100 sprinter. This year we may have somebody do an individual like for my relay, but besides that it's always been relays for us, so it's more like a team bonding than like really focusing on yourself like how most of track is.
Yeah, that's so true, and I think you're right, that's what makes that meet so special. It's different too, right? Because usually the focus is the individual races. Um, as you think about this upcoming season, if this season was a book, what would the title of the book be?
Um, I feel like this one's like a cliche, but probably just like senior season because it's my senior season. I feel like this year was just like a perfect close to like high school year, or like the end is just the beginning or something like that.
That's dope. I do that's so dope. I love that. And then does it also feel like it's gonna keep going for you? Because obviously you're gonna go back to Texas Relays, but most importantly, like that's gonna be the track you train on at Texas.
Hmm.
Has that hit you yet?
Not really. No, I like because I remember I was like, oh, I don't really like the track at Texas because like the big turns, and I was like, oh, well, I'm committed there, so I'll get used to it.
You could roll people could roll those turns too. Those turns
Hmm.
are just incredible for running times.
Yes.
And then of course the meet, we know one of the things I think that makes it even more special is that in the past it's been on the Longhorn Network, and this time I'm not sure. I'm sure it'll probably be on the SEC network. And so I feel like it's so special because fans all over the world are able to see that meet, which is not always the case for college meets.
Yes.
So that's what I think is really special. So what's the race you're most looking forward to this season?
Um, I would probably just say like my outdoor summer nationals 400 meter because um I'll have like all my training really under me and everything. It'll be cool to see like what time I end up hitting at the end of my senior year.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I have to ask you about this. Everybody knows Texas overall, not just the University of, but the state is known for heat, right?
Hmm.
Texas relays can be hot. It can be very hot. It can also be windy. But Texas overwhelmingly is known for heat. How do you prepare for the heat and preparing for race days?
Um, well, it's always hot in Texas, so I'm used to the heat, and um I don't know. I never really have to prepare for it kind of. In race days for me, normally eat oatmeal as my breakfast and then normally go out to the track after that and just chill, like kind of get in the zone while being there and then end up running.
Yeah. No, I love that's a solid plan. And I have to ask this to the chat. First of all, Bailey, before I have a chat question, but what do you think about the chat? The chat's been going crazy.
I can't see the chat actually, so I
Okay.
don't know.
So I try to read them out for you guys.
Hmm.
So here is the chat question. Chat, what's the toughest event in track, in your opinion? Drop your pick. 100-meter, 400, 800, hurdles, long jump. What's the hardest grind? So you guys in the chat, drop it in. Let us know what you guys think. And then Bailey, we're gonna get you to weigh in as well. Um, and we have the chat dropping knowledge. They're saying Texas Relays, the chat saying is the second largest track meet in the year. So second largest, excuse me. Um, and it's just an incredible meet. So I'm really excited about. Got to ask you this. Um, when you were younger, Bailey, who was that one athlete that you looked up to?
Mine was Carly Lloyd. She was a soccer player. And because, like, whenever I started off playing soccer, I was wearing number 10 and she was also wearing number 10. And I think we were in the same position, like midfielder. So I always looked up to her.
Okay. So and that was in your soccer era, back when
Hmm.
you were really rocking with soccer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. What about is was there any other sports or athletes that you looked up to and you kind of saw yourself in them or they inspired you?
um, Allison Felix inspired me with like that whole like Nike debacle that she went through. I think it was cool how she went and like started her own brand, and then after they dropped her, she ended up being another Olympic medalist.
Yeah, and shout out to Allison Felix, a real one. Talk about that. What did it mean to you? You're a young athlete, you're a young female athlete. Talk about it, and how did you react to how she handled that?
I was like shocked the way she handled it. Well, the way Nike handled it, and then I was like more like, go Allison for like what she did, like making her own brand, like showing like women like, oh, you don't have to like fit into the standard. You can like kind of do your own thing, like how she got pregnant and then she still went and like placed in the Olympics, which it's already hard to make it to the Olympics, but then like being a medalist there was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I love it. She handled it. And I also think that's how change happens. I think it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like that may change at the shoe company. Like you said, she's still riding it. And I think that's amazing. And that's just what the pioneers do, right?
Yes.
So, all right. If a 12-year-old girl is watching this and wants to be you, what's step one?
Um, just be willing to try things. Like for me, done a bunch of different things like soccer, track, volleyball. Just be willing to try different stuff until you find like the thing that's for you. And there's no like certain time frame to really figure it out. Like eventually you will have to figure it out, but there's no rush to do it like freshman year or sophomore year.
I love this. So you're saying play the long game
Yeah.
and bet on yourself.
hmm
I love that. I love that. All right. So have a question, another one for the chat. So we got to catch up with the chat a little bit, Bayleigh. So the chat's going crazy. Let me tell you what it is. It's 400 and the 800 keep jumping out in the chat.
I would say for me, either 800 or maybe the hurdles. I've never done the hurdles,
Yeah.
but running and jumping seem like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just good to run, Bayleigh. Just run, turn left. You talking about jumping now? Now we're in a hole. You're asking a lot of me, Bayleigh.
hmm
All right. So I have to ask you about this as well. In the chat, you guys, what is your advice to the chat for you guys? What is your advice? Because we have a lot of people, former athletes, current athletes. The chat, what's your advice to young athletes who want to be like Bayleigh? Just forget, I love saying this, 11-time state champion. It never gets old, Bayleigh. It never gets old saying this.
hmm
I think you need to bring me to your meets as like your hype man.
I got you.
Hey, and Texas Relays has that, right? They're like every like people have their sections cheering for 'em.
hmm They do.
Yeah. So want to talk a little bit. We have a new development. I'm excited for you to come on this program. First of all, it's our first for everyone's joining. Shout out to you guys who are joining. You're also you've opened up your season. You're
hmm
gonna really be kicking it off at Texas Relays. But we have to
Yes.
talk about this New Balance Nationals coming up.
hmm
What does it mean? Just the athletes who've competed there. What does it mean to come back for your senior year and be there?
Um, Plenty of great athletes have like come there and been there and also are like gonna be there this year. So it's like really cool for me to experience that. And I barely ran indoors. Like I would only run like one indoor meet every year. So this year, this will be my third indoor meet and the most indoor meets I've ran like my entire career. But I think it'll be very cool because like I normally just stay in Houston or in Texas for indoor meets. So it'll be good to like get a wide variety of like how other people do run indoors because like in the north they run indoors way more than like we do. Like we already started outdoors and they're like some of them have like indoor state championships and
Yeah.
everything.
No, that's so true. I grew up, shout out to the Midwest. I grew up, a lot of those people are still practicing in their hallways right now, running in their
hmm
gym, their indoor practice facility. What is your mindset going in? You have run an outdoor meet, you've opened up. Now you're going to refocus. Big stage, big meet, big moment.
Um, my mentality like going in is like it's kind of like just like another meet. Like you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself. Like obviously it's a big meet and you want to do good, but if you like put way too much pressure on yourself, you don't want to like end up shutting yourself down. So I feel like instead of going into it thinking, oh, I gotta do this and this and
Yeah.
this, it's like take a breather and like slowly go through what you have to do.
You know what? I'm catching the Bailey vibe right now. So for those you guys just joining, she's kind of chill when it comes to her pre-race playlist, right? You can have
Yeah.
music, you cannot have music. You love one of the greatest gospel choir groups out there. Sometimes you rock with them, sometimes you rock solo. And you're like, you know what? I'm not building this moment up too big.
Yeah.
So I can conquer. That's what I heard you saying.
Hmm.
So where did you get? Tell me about this, and don't feel any pressure now to say that to give credit to anyone, but or yourself. How did you kind of develop this cool factor that I'm picking up from you?
I don't know, actually. Some people say I walk cool, or like, I don't know what they mean by that, but some of my friends will be like, oh, you kind of walk cool. I'm like, thank you. Not sure what you mean by that, but I don't know. I've just always been like a calm and collective person. So I feel like my parents, I guess.
Okay, so describe your parents and your family, not just them. You have a crew.
Hmm.
What is the personality? How would you describe it for people who've maybe seen your races, seen your run, but they don't know a lot about you and your crew, your family?
I probably get it more from my mom. She's more like a calm one, and my dad's more like probably the energetic, loud one. So like I get both of them mixed in, but I would say probably like my cool vibe. People say I walk like my dad, so maybe like a little bit from my dad, a little bit from my mom.
Okay. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm like that. Hey, and you even just a little shout out. I saw some here. You even see a grandmother here in the chat. Just shout out to your grandmother. Um,
Yes.
uh, uh, uh got to give a shout out to her, Miss Minor. Can't be calling grown folks by their first name, so I have to call her Miss Minor. So shout out to your family. The chat is just going crazy. Someone in the chat just said Bayleigh is quiet and humble. They don't see her coming. What does that make you feel when you hear people saying that about you?
A lot of people do say that about me, so it's like nothing out of the usual for me. I like that people like call me humble instead of like cocky or anything because I don't know. I wouldn't want to be known as like a cocky person,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with cocky people.
Okay, I love that. And getting back a little bit to the New Balance indoor nationals, big meet as you talked about, fun opportunity. Talk to us about that. Are you going solo? Are you going with the a team? And what does that look like? When are you guys leaving? Like walk it to those of us who weren't, for example, invited like I wasn't.
Um, I'm just gonna run the open 400, and it's like a prelims final, but they have different like divisions. So I'm in the championship division. They have a freshman division. I'm pretty sure like a division in between freshman and championship.
Right.
So I leave Thursday, run Friday, Saturday, and then I come back Sunday. It's in
Man,
Boston.
shout out to Boston, y'all. I'm jelly right now. I'm sitting here. I'm so excited for you as well. It's a huge opportunity. And it's cool talking to you because it's like talking to a pro already. You know what I mean? And for those of you who know I've worked with a lot of professional athletes, college athletes. So this is just really being an enjoyable conversation and someone who I'm really enjoying getting to know. So shout out to you.
Thank you.
Gotta again come back to the chat. Everybody knows if you've been this your first time streaming with me, I love to chat, and that's what really makes this special. Brand&Athlete, we started this because everybody is a brand first and an athlete second. And for those of you guys joining us, this is kind of like a get to know Bayleigh show. And I feel like her unofficial launch, right? She's been doing this, but to her brand. And then we're going to come back on Tuesday, right? Tell them about that, what we're going to do on Tuesday, and what time can people pull up?
Um, it's gonna be me, Jay, and his friend. I forgot the name.
Jack Patterson, shout out to Jack
Yes.
Patterson.
We will be there 7 p.m. and yes, Central Time. Just explaining, and it's kind of like my official launch into it.
It's going to be tough. You guys have to pull up. You have to pull up, and we're going to keep going. We have some more to go. But while we have people here, how can people support you? Talk about your handles. What platforms are you on? And people have to come and support you, like and follow. Just but share that with us.
Um, Twitter is just Bayleigh Minor, and then Instagram, my sports page is Bayleigh_sports, and then like my personal page is just Bayleigh Minor.
Okay, okay. Hey, if you guys are watching, first of all, you have to hit like. That way, the algorithm knows you guys are liking this conversation, that you like us rocking with Bayleigh, and then make sure that you guys go and support Bayleigh because for many of you guys right now, the biggest thing you can do is like her, engage with her content. Just don't fall through. Don't go by those pictures. You know, it's kind of like, do you guys remember that time? This is really for the chat where somebody, Bayleigh was talking to Cam Newton. He was the quarterback in Charlotte at the time, and someone asked him about his Instagram post. And so before he answered, Cam was like, "But did you hit the heart though?" See what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's what we need your people to do.
Mhm.
So talk to we're going to talk on Tuesday about your brand, but what would it mean for you? Because you know, one of the things you and I talked about is building a community. What does it
Mhm.
mean to have like we have people pulling up? I just have to. This is all you.
Yeah.
We have people pulling up in the chat. I know you can't see it. What does it mean to see all these people chiming in and joining in?
It's like it's nice knowing that people are like supporting me even though like you don't know really who's there supporting you all the time. It's cool seeing like that people you may not even know will come out and support you, and then like obviously like family will always be there to support you too.
Yeah, I love that. So shout out to everybody. Let's get those likes up though. Let's get those likes up. All right, so we're gonna go to a rapid fire quick hitter series. I love this. Here's the thing, Bayleigh. You can't think about it. Just you're just firing straight off the dome.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
What is your dream NIL brand collab?
Maybe Ford.
Okay, we're gonna come back around with that. All right, one thing you can't travel without.
A blanket.
Ooh, can't travel without like, dang, that's smart, man. Fast, could jump high in volleyball and smart. Um, TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, what's the first meal you hit when you're getting to Austin for Texas Relays?
Probably Bucky's because we always go there on the way.
And if you follow in the Minor family, you know Bucky's is their spot. Bucky's if
Yes.
they're hey, shout out to you guys. I feel like I vicariously followed your career through social media, and Bucky's is part of that.
Hmm.
All right. So what's a bucket list goal, track or life that you have to accomplish?
I want to go to all six continents. I don't want to go to Antarctica, but
All right, there is. And what about Antarctica? What inspires you?
I'm not a big fan of the cold, so I wouldn't want to go there.
Okay. And you said Ford earlier. Talk to us about that. What was behind the thought?
Um, they like have a bunch of different cars. Like they make sports cars, trucks, like normal cars. So I feel like they're just like a big
Okay.
like brand that has good variety.
Okay. I love that. I love that. So you love Ford. You'd love to travel to all the continents except for Antarctica because
Yeah.
it's really, really cold. I love that. And let me ask you this. If you could go to a warm weather place, where would you want to go and why?
Um, Maybe the Bahamas. Like I've been there before. I went like one day for like a cruise, and then I was there for a week for a mission trip that I did with my school, but I never like really went to like the vacation side of the Bahamas, and it seems cool, so I want to go there.
Okay, okay. All right, before we because we're coming close, we're getting close to the end. Talk about, I know I've asked you before, but one of the things about live streaming, this is your first live stream, is the chat makes it all happen, right? All the people
Mhm.
responding. Because if you guys pull up to one of our chats and you're on live with us, you gotta participate, right? You gotta drop in. And I know you before you were talking about what it means, but how fun has this been for you to be on this side of a live stream?
It's cool, like, I don't really watch that many live streams, but, like, being on it, it seems, like, fun and, like, loose and vibey. It's not, like, very stressful or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And it's funny is I've been into streaming for a long time, and I was telling all of my friends, Bailey, about how big live streaming is. And a lot of my friends, not in sports and not into social and digital, they were just like, whatever, dude, cool story. And then what's happened is we had the election, and we're not getting into politics, but we're just talking about how much it changed. Right, like the politics, just people pulling up to live streams. And so it's funny.
Mhm.
Now everybody's like, "Yeah, I'd love to do a live stream with you." And so this has been really cool, seeing you open up and see you talk about your brand and who you are. When we talk about, we're gonna do a deep dive on Tuesday, but is there anyone like brand wise, and it doesn't have to be track, it doesn't have to be sports. Is there anybody that you look at like what they're doing and you're like, I rock with them. I'm vibing with them.
Um, Not really, because I feel like I'm not on social media enough to, like, actually follow somebody like how some people do, but whenever I watch, like, random TikToks sometimes, I'll be like, "Oh," like, I'll leave a like on their videos and everything, but I don't really consistently follow anybody on social media.
I love that. And you know what's so funny though, you guys, I think this is what you're seeing in a lot of really successful athletes, right? Because what I hear from you is that you're locked in on what you're doing
Mhm.
and not spending as much time on social. But and so we want to talk a little bit about Tuesday. Tuesday's an exciting time. For those of you guys that don't know, it's gonna be myself. We're gonna have Jack Patterson. Jack is just truly one of the true great brand and marketing people in sports. He's worked with Learfield IMG, some of the biggest brands, some of the biggest athletes, some of the biggest schools. And we're going to sit down and talk about like your brand, like who you are, how you can go from where you want to be to um, where you are to where you want to be, right? And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to set some goals, and we're going to make sure that they're relatable and that it's some things that you can realistically do. How excited are you about that conversation?
That'll be good and exciting, hopefully insightful for me, like, in the future to, like, know how I should, like, I guess, present myself and, like, my brand.
I love that. And what's without going too deep, because we gotta save a little something. I
Mm,
always say it's like going to the doctor. You can't spill your cookies in the lobby. Um, what are some things that you have going in? Like, what is your mindset going in?
just, like, an open mind, like, willing to try new things to figure out what works for me and what doesn't work for me.
That's cool. And we're going to talk about this as well. I think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear what is the biggest thing, right? Like what I found working with athletes, and I love working with athletes. What is the biggest maybe reluctance or challenge that you have? Because everybody knows me, know I'm really big on people just talking about who they are. What is that
Mhm.
for you? Like, what's the thing? Because you know, you are 11 times state champion. I wish we had like a thing I could count how many times I'm saying this. But like, what is the reluctance that you have? And I just want to talk about that so that not just myself, but our community can pull up and support you.
Um, for me, I don't know. I don't post that much, kind of, I guess, so that's one thing-ish,
Why is
and
that?
then I don't know. I just really don't. Like, some if I take cute pictures, I'll go and post them or something sometimes, but I just haven't been on, like, my posting grind, I guess.
Okay.
Never really have been, but
I love that. I love that. So, as we kind of wrap up here, what has been your reaction, like in your own words, like describe what it's been like being on your first live stream?
It was a very, like, unique experience in a good way because it's like there's a first for everything, and you never know how, like, something could go, but it ended up going very well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you've done amazing. I think this is a great start. And I hope that we do more live streams. I hope that you want to do more live streams, not just with myself, but with your own live, right? Because there's Instagram live, there's your favorite TikTok live, which I know you love. So, all right, guys. First of all, before we kind of wrap up, I really want to thank everybody. Somebody just asked, where can we get the Brand&Athlete merch? Appreciate you guys. I dropped a link in the chat. It's brand&athlete.com/shop. And we're going to talk about, because eventually we're going to have merch for you. But got to hit it again because we have people coming in and out. Where can people follow you? What are the handles? And let's talk about that real quick.
My Twitter is just Bayleigh Minor, and then my Instagram, my sports one is Bailey_sports, and like my personal one is just Bayleigh Minor.
Okay. Okay. What's been the most crazy? We got to give some love, Bayleigh, to the chat, because these are your people. We have amazing interview. Is it, how do you say it? Is it Elisa?
Mm-hmm.
Elis? How do you say that?
Elisa.
Elisa. I don't, give a shout out to her. You have Corey on. Do you want to give some shout out to some people here?
I can't see who's all here, but shout out to Corey, my aunts, my grandparents, my parents.
Okay. Shout out. Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys pulling up, and pull up Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central. Make sure you're following Bayleigh, because Bailey's she has some news to drop. I can't tell you what it's going to be, but follow her. And so as we kind of close up here, I'm really excited. A crazy, crazy season ahead. Texas Relay coming up after the New Balance Nationals. We're going to lock in. We're going to talk about your NIL journey on Tuesday. Have to let you send us off on an inspirational note. I mean, y'all remember every time a big name that's known, they were not known before that. So keep
Mm-hmm.
pushing, keep locking in. Bayleigh's about to take off. Y'all better follow this journey. One of the true all-time great Texas high school athletes. Give a message to people if they're watching you right now and they're saying, "Man, Bayleigh's really having a serendipitous run." Give a motivational message to someone right now who maybe is younger than you and they're looking and they want to get started. What is your message to them?
Um, it doesn't matter where you start. Like you can start whenever you were 5 or whenever you're like 15. It just matters where you end up finishing and how your progress is going.
Bars. She dropping bars. Those are bars, y'all. All right, make sure you follow Brand&Athlete at Brand&Athlete on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all over. And we're gonna be sharing clips, y'all. We're gonna take this. It's gonna be the start of the Bayleigh Minor brand. I truly believe that you're gonna be one of the voices in the sports space that people are gonna be like, y'all remember when we went on that stream with her?
Yes.
So, all right, you guys. Thanks everybody for coming. Really want to thank the chat as well. We had so many people. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm not going to call anybody by name because we just had them. Listen at this. I know you can't see it, but I have to tell you, we have a bunch of people in this chat. We have a bunch of chat comments. So you guys keep pulling up. Shout out to you guys. And lastly, I'm going to let you give the chat one more love because these are your people. These are people who came for you.
Yes. Thank you all for coming. And I wish I could shout all of y'all out if I knew who was there, but thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And real quick, I'm gonna give you a quick pointer. After this, Bayleigh, you can go on to the chat. You can see, I'll send you the link and you'll be able to see everybody who pulled up. So thank you, you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you Tuesday at 7 p.m. I'm pulling up with the one, the only 11-time state champion, Bayleigh Minor. one of the greatest to ever do it. Thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you.
appreciate you guys. See ya.
Bye.